audio doesn't work on this. I'll try it again if it doesn't. Let's see. We're going to start. No, it's not starting. I don't know why not. Didn't seem to be starting. Oh, there it is. Let's see if it has any sound. Oh, it does have sound. Good. Okay, well, it does work. I was afraid it wouldn't because I figured out what the cause of that problem was, and it was me connecting to the Bluetooth in the car. Since I did that yesterday and I didn't unconnect it, I'm surprised the audio is working, but it is, so that's good. So we're just going to do a short live stream here. I titled A Brief History of Livestream, but really it's the live stream itself that's going to be brief because Rachel and I are going to head down to Merced to run a couple errands. I mean, one errand, and hi, beautiful. And we'll get some lunch as well. So I'm envisioning us getting out of here before noon, actually, Rachel, despite what I said earlier. And, heading down to the Merced. I have been thinking about making some shorts that Winston Mom actually suggested, where I do a bunch of debate shorts, like each one on a debate concept. That's a good idea because it's really easy for me to do, and I already have like a full outline of all debate concepts that I could use as a roadmap to keep track of what I'm making shorts about, and I could additionally like schedule them so they come out. I could make a bunch of them in fairly short order, potentially, and then schedule them so they come out not all at the same day, $250. $250 is an amount of money. There's no disputing that. So I spent a good amount of time this morning clipping shorts from previous live streams, and that feels like productive activity to me. It feels like I'm actually doing meaningful work of some sort. Not because it's going to generate a lot of benefit for the channel, but because at the very least, it's got a greater potential to produce some kind of results because it's presenting ideas in a bite-sized format. It's like there might be a lot of good ideas that I have in a live stream, but most of them are not going to be heard by anybody in that format, right? It's like I don't get that much. I don't get that many. I don't get that much traffic on my live streams anyway. But I am fine, LBA. How are you? And so, I mean, I do think that given the fact that the shorts that get clipped out of live streams don't have any text on them, they don't necessarily have a great thumbnail or anything, that there's still, it's not a super high ceiling. It's not a super high ceiling, but if something pops enough as an idea, has a good enough NI, then it might do reasonably well. Timothy Chalamet. Sounds kind of like a kind of wine. Chalamet.
It does. And technically, his name is Timothy.
Timothy?
Yeah.
That's dumb. Timothy.
Yeah.
Why leave out the H? His parents have something against H's?
It's a good question. Why leave out the H?
Yeah,
Oh, look, those wings that you talk about.
those things are terrible. Calms inflammation. I've got 100% clear skin now. Thanks, Bimslex. All I have as an exchange are suicidal thoughts, bowel problems, instant death syndrome, liver problems. Get back to clear skin. My skin is so clear.
Back problems.
So, if I were to make those shorts about big things, I guess I'd just go down the outline. I go, I first I do off and neg resolution. I guess there's certain things you have to kind of combine a little bit. So, like I talk about affirming and negating. I have to additionally talk about a resolution versus plan. But then I could talk about the aft burden on plan style debate in a separate short, right? 'Cause, like to have any kind of a meaningful debate, you have to have one side be affirming and one side be negating something. And that something is either a resolution or a plan text. For the resolutional kind of debate, which is like Lincoln Douglas Public Forum, or the kind of debate that people call debate on the internet, then it's resolutional, which is to say they're debating about the correctness of some statement. Now, in competition debate, typically the affirmation can also be defined as that which is advocating for a change in the status quo. But on some of the like philosophy kind of statements, it's not really clear what the status quo perspective is. Like do repeated victims of domestic abuse have the right to use deadly force against their abusers? Well, oh, hi Jaya, how are you? I'm watching the Texas A&M Miami game right now. Texas A&M just tried a fake punt. The ball actually hit the receiver in the hand, but no completion. It did surprise me a bit, but it didn't catch the Miami defenders off guard very much. It is a good throw. It's a good throw. It hits the receiver in the hand, despite the fact that the DB got there. Well, I mean, I don't expect us to be discussing anything particularly adult, but this is not intended as a stream for kids. So, behave accordingly. Don't be sorry. It's fine. You don't need to inform me of that either. It's like, I can't know even if what you say is true. I maybe can take it on face value, or maybe I can't. But regardless, people who watch YouTube need to make decisions about what they watch and for themselves ultimately.
Would you like coffee?
I have some, thank you. No, I don't block people unless they do something wrong, you know. You might do something like that at some point, but I'm not very band happy, you know. I if somebody's just here to be toxic or abusive or defamatory or something, then I'll hide them immediately once that's been determined. But in other contexts, usually you gotta be pretty offensive for me to block you. So the thing is, if I were to make those debate shorts, the thing is, it's like there's a limited amount of population of actual debaters in the world who are competing currently, who for whom that might be good content. But presumably, again, Jaya, I'm not letting you do anything. You're here of your own choice and of your own discretion, and I have no control over that. And also, I don't know how old you are, and there's no way for me to know that. You're just as likely to be somebody attempting to defame me or do harm or something. I've been getting a lot of that lately, so I don't know. This is really an interesting matchup, Miami, Texas A&M, because they both barely beat Notre Dame. And Notre Dame is a good team this year. They were really really good. All right, well, cool. I'm glad to hear it, but you know, there's no. Again, I can only know so much about people who are in the chat, right? I don't know if you're. I could try to take things on face value or not, but Merry Christmas to you too, and a Happy New Year. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
And the merry bells keep ringing. Happy holidays to you. Is that a catch? Let's see. I think it's a
It
catch.
looks like a catch.
I think it's a catch.
Both feet are in. So
He only needs one. Yeah. You want your backpack?
Thanks. Are you sure you don't need it?
I can hit this. No, it's fine. I hit it carefully. I make sure I don't have too much suction, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could go get like I don't know. What do you feel like for lunch?
I don't know. Five Guys or what were you thinking?
Well, I was just kind of trying to determine whether it would be better to go to a sit down place or a burger
Oh,
place? If we're gonna do burgers, I'd just as well do In and Out, I think.
let's do it now.
Alright.
It's been a while since we've had In and Out.
Yeah, it's very affordable too, which I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate.
And we'll sit down,
Um,
take out, go inside.
yeah, we'll probably go inside. We could eat it there if we wanted
I mean,
to.
it's up to you. Oh!
Oh! He airmailed that one. Only 7 seconds left in the half. Miami's trying to score the first points of the game here on this drive. Are they within field goal range? It's 3rd and 2. They have one timeout left. The cameraman is showing the
No.
kicker, so I'm guessing they must be in field goal range. Ooh, I get a little frustrated with myself when I'm trying to clip clips from the live streams and I'm talking about some given thing and then I get interrupted in the middle of talking about it by responding to something in the chat or I take a big pause and think for a long period of time because really it's only convenient to contiguously clip clips in YouTube and so I've got to be pretty fluid and quick about what I'm saying or else it's a wasted idea. You know, I can't clip it. Here's the kick. It's no good. It got blocked or it was just wildly off. I don't know. This is at Texas A&M. Now we already had one SEC team knock off a Big 12 team. Here we're going to see if the SEC can knock off an ACC team. Uh, the first half ends 0-0. Did anybody expect that from Miami, Texas A&M? I don't know about that. I didn't expect it, that's for sure. I did not expect it. Okay, it's halftime.
Hey, Carlos Paeva.
Hey, Carlos Paeva. Look, I didn't want to make a big comment in response to your comment. You're right that that's not really a definition of truth, right? Like, it's not an operationalized definition that allows you to test to see if uh, if something qualifies as true or not. But it still helps us to better understand what truth is by saying by pointing out that we have to remember that um, it's used as a claim. This is true by people who are talking about something in dispute. So then there's an argumentational exchange that determines who's right, and the metric that we use to determine whether something's true depends on the kind of statement that we're making. YAML39. Hi, I'm new here. Is there anything I should know? What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about truth and a definition of truth that I gave. The No, it doesn't help understand how it's used in a sentence. It helps you understand how people use the concept, right? How that it's referred to as part of a dispute. That otherwise we assume everything we say is true or operate as though what we're saying is true. We imply that what we're saying is true all the time, etc. So it doesn't help us understand how it's used in a sentence because it's like if somebody says that is the truth, okay, it does help us understand that the reason they're saying that is because there's something in dispute, right? But but it's but people use it in a sentence to mean all different kind of crazy nonsense, right? Like people might say, Um, that's the hear somebody sing hum a song and say that's the truest melody I've ever heard. You know, they mean whatever about it. Yeah, right. So, and the thing is, the reason people get so confused about it in general is they think it exists outside of them or stuff. That that it exists outside of any examples of truth. Which that's the big problem that we have is that people want it to be a status that exists independent of any example of it, even though the metric by which you determine truth is statement specific. Okay, well, that's reality. That's experience, is what you're saying. That you can do stuff and that then cause experiences. And that's fine. No, I'm not disputing that that statement is true. But it's this statement I can do stuff and cause and experience experiences that's true, not this the pinching or the experiencing. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that a gangster rapper who's actually a G versus somebody who's a studio G versus really a gangster, that's about posturing versus authenticity. You know, uh, in other words, whether a given way of being, way of talking, etc., is an authentic expression of that way of talking from the culture where that way of talking originated, or whether it's an imitation of that way of talking. I said that to fuck with you and others who get too out of the moment, Eric. That's fine. This is actually, that's a deceptive title because really what it should have said is a brief live stream because it's not going to be a very long live stream. Uh, I just put history in there because I know people love the title of that Stephen Hawking book. So,
That would work for you, right?
yeah, I thought I'd steal some of his thunder. The universe resets in an endless cycle of boom and contract. Reggie Eliano. Johnny Doe, how do you do? Meow, 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 mew, mew, mew. Yeah, I mean, I think it's not necessarily a bad thing at all when people with better relationships with sensing bring people with worse relationships with sensing into more sensory places of being, etc., you know. But it's probably the opposite's also true, the inverse, if you want to call it that. You know, I recognize also that I have it within my capacity to do a better job of SI kind of sensory stuff, which means making little plans and following through on them. Um, I plan today to clip some shorts. Perhaps later today I'll make some of those. debate shorts. A lot of bad shit like depression comes from overthinking, not being present. Well, that's for assuredly true for me that depression comes from fixating on, I guess, bad stuff. Uh, Reasons to be upset with myself and stuff. But it's also the case that no matter where you go and what you do, there you are. You're still you, you know? And if your head's a mess, you know, we can understand and know all we want about that kind of thing. No. Caused by they may be a finite, but there are a number of different evaluatory metrics as to how we would evaluate the truth of something. Some of which call upon subjective data to be taken, to be assumed to be true, to be assumed to be accurate. You know, um, and some of which can call upon objective data. Some of which can call upon definitional claims. So it's absolutely it is not some general thing that exists outside of specific statements. That's not correct. Some people get seasonal affective disorder, but I don't think that's what's going on with me. No. There is subjective data. For example, Johnny Doe, whether or not I have a stomach ache is my subjective data. You have no access to it. So you have to take my word for it as to whether I do or not, right? In contrast, whether or not that log is on fire is objective data. We can both look at it and evaluate it independently because it's not inside of either of us. And that's how we determine what data is objective and what data is subjective. Then we can evaluate that data through either objective or subjective evaluatory approaches. Right? Like, do I want hot chocolate? You could evaluate it from an objective approach that says this is what's inside of hot chocolate. This is what the science says about whether that's good for you and stuff, right? You could make a decision based on objective data, or you can make a decision based on subjective data. Well, I know I want it, therefore I want it. Right. In other words, there isn't a thing to define that's status independent of a specific evaluatory metric. Hello, welcome back.
You're so cute.
Okay, well, Johnny Doe, what about my feelings? Whether I feel, or how I feel. Like for example, how excited I feel. Do I feel very excited or sort of excited? The thing is, we can try to render subjective data into objective data, but for something like a preference, there's no conceivable reason why we would want to, and you can't really prove it anyway because your feelings on things change, you know. So how would you argue if I also said it's just a scientist's opinion on it, I don't buy into it? You don't buy into what? Like, for example, if I say something is uh, a good deal for me, you might objectively try to evaluate it as not a good deal. We have to rely on my subjective preferences because I'm the one making the deal. Well, scientists say they know various things. Again, you're talking about a lot of different kind of statements, right? So you might have a scientist say, uh, that a lion is a mammal. So that's just a definitional claim, right? You're just saying we have a category called mammal that we define according to certain things. A lion qualifies as such. A scientist might present experimental data and say, I ran this experiment and these are the results I got. Right, but some kind of science there is a single truth. In general, like biology is less of an exact science than say astrophysics, which is mostly math. And chemistry is about results, you know. It doesn't really matter to chemists why meow reacts with meow instead of with meow. It doesn't matter because it's not even a question that's meaningful to answer. It's just the way things are, you know. What matters is whether how this recipe produces this result. So whether or not somebody has the proper approach to making some kind of drug out of some ingredients, right? Whether or not they have the proper approach to that is determined by whether the drug comes out pure and when you test it, it doesn't have any contaminants and whatever in it, you know? It would all still reduce the idea of what is even if what is hypothesized or your subjective experience or preference. No, I mean your claims may come down to being about what is, right? But to pretend as though that that quality of that you're highlighting exists independent of your highlighting is incorrect. So it is the case that there is objective data that we can refer to, right? But it only becomes objective data when we refer to it. Otherwise, it's not it's not playing any role in any argument. And ultimately, that's what we're talking about in every instance is some act of argumentation. And if you don't think that's the case, remember rule number one. True is a status we afford to statements and only to statements, and there are three truth values: true, false, and no truth value. You might say, how can no truth value be a truth value? We confer on the statements. Okay, my bad. We confer on the statements. The thing is, we can make statements about physicalities or experiences. And in that instance, we're talking about referencing our experience, you know? No, you can't confer things onto some things that you can't confer onto them. Like, I can't confer a duty to be charitable onto statements. But you can say that statement is false, or that statement is metaphorical slash has no truth value. And you can say about a statement that is true, and that's the default, right? It's implied that your statement, you're making the claim that your statement is true. My issue with science is it's just another human who read a lot from specific education system, and I think they know what life is about. Analyzing life defeats the purpose of living. That's your issue with scientists, not your issue with science. Science is a a set of methodologies or best operating procedures that people apply uh, to be able to defensively establish certain kinds of claims about certain kinds of things, or to test hypotheses. But really, what does that mean? It means to establish grounds for certain kinds of claim making. And that's the end of the line for everything in the world, right? It all works like that. At the end of the line, you know, I mean, sure, there's plenty of experiential stuff that doesn't have anything to do with this, but I mean, whenever anybody's doing stuff to prove shit, right? Like, I'm gonna do this long-term study on chronic marijuana users to see how much cognitive decline they have as they get older or something. That study was done. It's done to prove one thing or the other, to make this argument or that argument. Well, sure, we do have experiences, Carlos. There's no disputing that we have experiences. So I experienced this thing, and I can reference that experience of this and making claims about its existentiality. I can say this is an instance of it because of experiential shit, because of sensory stuff. But what you're mistaking is you're thinking that the verb to be is something other than an equivalence maker, and it's not. Okay, it's a lie. The verb to be is a lie. Quite the defensive battle. What's quite the defensive battle? Like questions of existentiality are questions of argumentation. They're not questions of um like when we say, but the pig actually is there, right? Um if we were to use what's called English prime, we'd excise all the linking verbs from it, and then we'd be saying things that mean things, right? Like I observe a pig. But what we'd more likely be saying is something, that's actually meaningful argumentationally. Like, so I observed a pig, and you said there weren't going to be any pigs here. So what happened? In that case, no be verbs, no linking verbs, and we're actually communicating real information then. Well, good for you, Putty Cat. I am so happy for you. I am watching the game. It's still halftime. So I have it muted currently until second half comes on. But we're not even going to watch the whole second half. We're going to go to Merced pretty soon.
Should I change my shoes?
I mean, if you're comfortable in those, then hold off for a little bit because
Okay.
we've got I want to watch a little bit of this second half here
Okay.
before we go.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna wear these because it's raining.
Cool. Oh, that defensive battle. I assumed you were commenting upon our conversation that I was having there with. Like, information does require attention. Well, I don't information requires attention, but it is the case that to find anything informative in any way, you have to pay attention to it in some fashion. So I don't know if that means that information requires attention per se, because I guess there's plenty of information that does stuff without any human actively attending to it. But I guess they're still attending some top level piece of information that's dictating how this other information goes. I'm not sure. That's an interesting question. Like, obviously, I'm watching this football game here, and there's all this information that I'm paying attention to. But on a level beneath what I'm observing, it's just built of more information structured in various ways. And that information nobody's really paying direct attention to. I guess it's an artifact of somebody's earlier TE or TI essentially. It still represents the ongoing agency of some individual, I suppose. Just as a pendulum set in motion represents that agency for longer than just the initial push of it. Yeah, I think it's very similar. If you get drunk once, twice a week, and you have a good experience with it, then why should you feel bad about it? Is it equivalent to doing shrooms once a week? Probably. Shrooms doesn't have as much of a hangover, but shrooms doesn't really have a hangover at all, actually. If anything, it's got kind of an anti-hangover. So, Miami's moving the ball. Oh, they just busted a big run. Big hole down to the 10-yard line. They're going to score at least 3 points here, one would imagine. I'll watch this drive, and then I will watch the A&M drive, and then we'll go to Merced. Information only goes so far as experience is neglected and some shit is inherent and intuitive. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff is best dealt with just NI, SE, and that's fine and dandy and everything, but even if it's better to be that way, that's not how I am. Well, I was thinking about information as something that can be digitized in this instance. Like, isn't digitized information essentially like an onion with layers of different information? And my conclusion about it ultimately was, accordingly, like an onion, you don't have to pay attention to all of its inside layers for it to be an onion. As far as information being extracted meanings, uh, facts. I mean, people do say like like an information desk offers you facts about the world. Can you tell me how to get to this store from here? Yes, you go down that way, and then you go over there, and then that would be one kind of information. The kind of information you get at the information desk, which is everybody's favorite desk. I'm just one of many that have figured out how to manage booze. Yeah, nobody's shitting on booze around here, buddy cat. Have I ever shat on booze? No. I think it's wonderful for people who can drink it. Good for them. It's also the case that lots of people have problems with alcohol. I know a lot of people have problems with alcohol. But that's not condemnation of alcohol. A lot of people have problems with a lot of things. People who probably smoke too much weed. Well, that's no doubt, depending on how you define too much, maybe that's true, right? But it's also the case that that having an alcohol problem is more wreckage causing slash harm inducing than having a pot smoking problem for the vast majority of people who one might articulate as having a problem about either of those things. That's again not a condemnation of alcohol. It's you know part of the price of that drug. Well, part of what makes it so great is also what makes it bad when it's abused badly. Part of what makes weed not so great is that you can't really abuse it that much because it's got reverse tolerance, like, no, I'm sorry, it's got not reverse tolerance, it's got like extreme tolerance curve, Once you start smoking it regularly, it basically stops doing anything to you. You can overcome that with edibles, but um, that's where it's more like, you can have some bad experiences if you do too much, is with edibles. Right. And you never will get the same feeling at all. It's not, you can't replace booze with anything except booze. Well, Texas A&M's defense stiffened, and they're holding Miami to a field goal. Let's see if Miami can make this field goal. It's good. 3 points on the board for Miami. Now I'm gonna watch the Texas A&M. Uh, the Texas A&M drive, and then we'll go to Merced. Today's been a better day, but I still periodically think about the car and stuff, and it makes me get all anxious feeling. Well, I just need to calm down, do what's in front of me. That's fine. I think James Madison and Tulane getting the CFP is dumb. Should have been Notre Dame and Vanderbilt. It, no, I don't agree with you. I think it's underdogs in the CFP. It makes it more fun because everybody's assuming like James Madison's going to get smoked, Tulane's going to get smoked. You know, that's that's what makes when upsets like that do happen. That's what makes them so great. So I really think we're better off including at least a couple of small schools who may not be at the same quality level according to the eye test or the competition who they played test, but nevertheless will make for a more entertaining college football playoff. I don't think anybody gave Arizona State a lot of chance last year, and they came very close to beating Texas. They really should have won that game. Yeah, I mean, I think it's got to, you know, yeah, it's a tough word to define. People use it to mean a lot of different things, but by and large, people use it to mean words that are that help you to understand or know. It could refer to other symbols besides words, like numbers. Or, like a little division sign, a line with a dot on either side of the top and the bottom. Or a symbol like this one. He's looking at you, kid, like that. Or this one, maybe. That qualifies as a symbol, too. Well, Texas A&M now is down by 3 points. Let's see if they mount a comeback. Think James Madison and Tulane have a chance to win? Sure they do. Sure they do. All it takes is a couple turnovers, few turnovers maybe, and James Madison not turn the ball over, or Tulane not turn the ball over. Get yourself a football game, you know, pick 6 or 2. I think I'm gonna clip that thing about why we should let the little guys into the CFP. In case you were wondering, the USC women's team did not cover the 56 points spread the other time. Sorry to hear that. It's fine. We still won by a large amount. Concepcion. Immaculate Concepcion. Injury. Injuries are boring. I'm saying that I believe Notre Dame. I don't know about Vanderbilt. I don't feel like I know that team, but I believe Notre Dame would have a better chance of winning than Tulane or James Madison. But that doesn't mean they're the most deserving team to get in the college football playoffs. And it doesn't mean that there's an inherently preferable kind of game, which is the closest matched game, rather than having an underdog in the mix. I think those kind of games have validity too. And I'd rather a college football playoff that features both kind of games than just one. Even if the upsets come or far and few between, that just makes them more exciting when they do come. I will leave you to look at the Christmas tree while I go to the bathroom. While you're looking at it, I want you to quietly sing to yourself, "Oh Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches." Oh, wonderful year and wonderful times. Wonderful year and wonderful times. If you like wonderful urine. You would have just loved that urine experience because it was so wonderful. I didn't press the toilet though. I'm gonna do that.
You're so handsome.
Thanks, beautiful. I appreciate your kind words. Right, but just because they're the better team or has a better chance of winning, does that mean we should have put Notre Dame in over Miami or Texas A&M, even though both Miami and Texas A&M beat Notre Dame, even though we think Notre Dame would probably beat either one of these schools later in the year? No, we can't. We can't put in Notre Dame over Texas A&M because Texas A&M already beat Notre Dame. We have to consider things like that. We can't just put in who we intuitively feel is the best team. The bottom line is you got to balance multiple competing factors in this equation of how to determine who makes the college football playoff, right? You can't you can't have everything based on the eye test or strength of schedule or anything else, you know. No, the point of the playoff is to put in the deserving teams, not not the best teams. Okay, like just because you play in the ACC doesn't mean you should be automatically excluded from the playoffs because people know the ACC is not as good as the Big Ten or the SEC. I mean, I don't think any sane person wants a playoff that has nothing but Big Ten and SEC teams in it. That would be boring. And it's also, it's like, let's say you're a fan of BYU. You want to know that you have a legit shot to make it in. You're gonna make it in if you win the Big 12. Well, we still have conferences, and we need to afford conference champions some guarantees, right? Because college football has too many teams in it for everybody to play all the big guys, right? Like if you're gonna have any meaningful conference schedule in the Big Ten or the SEC, then those teams are going to be playing most of their games against other teams in their conference, and they're not going to be available to play all the other teams in the country. And so, you know, what's Miami supposed to do? Go make the Big Ten even bigger? Well, I don't know if BYU got screwed or not. Oklahoma made it in as Big 12 champion, I guess, or no. I think two Big 12 teams make it in? Or am I wrong about that? I don't think that's true, Putty Cat. I think it, I mean, there's a practical limit in football. Wow. Wow. Missed the kick. But there's a practical limit, right? You can only, already the Big Ten can't do conference play properly in, no, Oklahoma's from the Big 12 too, Putty Cat. Texas Tech and Oklahoma. So that's two of them. That's why BYU didn't make it. Because it's reasonable to take two Big 12 teams, but probably not reasonable to take three of them. Oh, did the Oklahoma move to the SEC? That's right. So how many SEC teams made it? Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, um, Texas A&M. Five SEC teams made it? Oh my God! Why are there five SEC teams? in the college football playoff, and there's only 3 Big Ten teams. I should be more mad that USC didn't make it. But of course, Notre Dame would have had to make it over USC. All right. Well, 5 SEC teams is too many. I don't care if everybody thinks they're the best teams. That's too many teams from the SEC. Like, I guess. So, Alabama, Oklahoma, you were going to have one SEC winner no matter what. But hopefully the other SEC teams lose so that we all learn a valuable lesson about how stinky the SEC is. Because I don't like the SEC at all. Southeastern Conference. More like the shitty everything conference. Yeah, Notre Dame should have been in instead of Bama. I guess. No, but I mean, the thing is, Notre Dame didn't beat anybody, though. Whereas Bama beat all good teams. So I understand why Bama was in there, I guess. Saran, hello. Saran. I guess I'm about ready to go with food at this point. Getting hungry. Need to eat some chow. No, it's not failing because you assume that I think it would be better if Notre Dame and USC were in. But I don't think that. I don't think that'd be fair. I mean, knowing is not a linking verb. You just get rid of linking verbs, such as that seems pretty or something. A linking verb. Yeah, just get rid of linking verbs. No, I don't think a 3-loss USC team that lost to Illinois should be in instead of Tulane and James Madison. And I don't think Notre Dame should either because it's like we have to make sure that everybody in college football has at least some chance to make the college football playoff, or else we shouldn't even have Division I, right? We should just relegate half the teams to Division II or something. There's no point in playing in Division I college football. No, Miami beat Notre Dame. Miami and Texas A&M are Notre Dame's 2 losses. The 2 teams are playing right now against each other. That's Notre Dame's 2 losses. That's why Miami made it instead of Notre Dame, because head-to-head. That's okay. All right, I guess I'm about ready to go for sex. I'm getting hungry. So I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks for being here. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, Putty Cat. I appreciate your chatting with me about the college football playoff. I like that topic of conversation. And everybody else who was here, Carlos, I appreciate the conversation about English Prime and so forth. So we love you, and we'll see you later.